Hey everyone, Random Randy here. There's probably not going to be a lot of people in this stream, but that's okay because I'm going to keep this kind of short. I'm just trying to get a video out to let you all know how my craft market the other day went. And if anybody does happen to pop in, let me know if you can hear me all right. I am using something that's weirdly new to me. If it kind of looks like I'm a cyborg, I actually have earbuds that also have microphones on them. So I'm trying not to be too loud. If it seems like I'm too loud, just kind of let me know and I will turn it down a little bit. Also, my chair is horribly creaky. What's up with that? Anyway, so if you are new to the channel, this is mostly a knitting, crochet, and fiber arts channel. I do have some other things as I am a person and there is more than one facet to my life. So this just happens to be a part of it. And I wanted to get to just let you all know what went down at the craft fair. It was Terror in the Tree, which was actually hosted by the Urban Unglued group. And they mostly do dark and unique themed markets. So if you're the type of person who your crafting is kind of out there and you feel like it's something that wouldn't fit in at a church market, these are the type of people that you want to work with. So that being said, as usual, everybody there was fantastic. Everybody is so friendly. It really bothers me that people get caught up in worrying about how someone may or may not act based upon the way that they look. It's a really ridiculous old saying, but it still stands true in my opinion, and that is very much don't judge a book by its cover. As I had to tell my young children, hi Wanda, as I had to tell my young children the other day, sometimes the people who look the weirdest are the nicest people you will ever meet. So don't just assume somebody is weird or bad or mean because they look different from you. That being said, give me just a minute and I am going to clickety click here for a minute and let people know that I am streaming. I don't think there's going to be very many people here, but like I said, that's okay. Just in case anybody else wants to pop in. Hi, Classy Kim. Hello, Kyla. So, long story short, I ended up doing all right at the market. I was hoping to do a bit more in sales with it being as close to the holiday as it is. I ended up doing okay. I did more than double what I paid for my table, so I guess I shouldn't complain, but I was hoping for a little bit more. So I'm just going to kind of go over the types of people that seem to be out shopping and what I ended up selling. I actually have everything written down in front of me, so if I'm constantly doing one of these, it's because the paper is down here, and you'll probably hear it too. Yeah. So this was on the 15th of December, and it ran from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m., but we could actually get there for setup at 8, and then we had longer than that afterwards to unload and unpack everything and get out the door. But the things that I ended up selling were, unsurprisingly, some of the same things that I always sell. No, unfortunately, I didn't end up selling any of the chill pills, but they were the focal point of my booth that drew most people to come look at all the other stuff I had because they were so big and bright. And I had them in a corner section of my booth so you could see them when you walked in. I'll probably have to do it in the community tab to show you guys the picture of everything. If you're on my Instagram, you will have seen a short little video pan through of what my setup looked like. there weren't a lot of crochet booths at this particular market. Most of these people do pottery, sculpting, all sorts of other art. There was at least one other girl who had crochet, but she wasn't in the same room as me, and her items were different from mine. She had a lot of really small pieces that were keychains and that type of stuff in addition to the other things that she made. So that was whatever. But things I ended up selling were one of the standard Pokeball hats, the red on top with the black streak and the little button and the white across the bottom. Of course, and I only had one of those. I had one of those and a yellow one still from when I made red, yellow, and blue for each of the 3 teams in Pokemon Go. So I sold the red one. I should just make nothing but these few things that I sold and only take those things with me, because those are the only things I ever sell. So, Pokeball hat. I sold a Mr. Meeseeks hat, which is a character from the show Rick and Morty, and it was just a blue hat. I think I used Red Heart Super Saver Turquoise for the main body of it, and then it had eyes and a little orange poof of hair off the top of it. That sold. I also sold a knitted pussy hat or cat-eared hat, which is super simple pattern, but it was green, purple, and black stripes. I used Loops and Threads Charisma yarn. I think that colorway is Dragonfly. It's the one with the neon green and the purple that I always say reminds me of 1990s animated Batman Joker. So that one. I don't know why I can never remember the colorway. It's, I don't know, weird mental block, I guess. Most of the things that I ended up selling were small things, unfortunately. I spent more of my prep time making bigger things, hoping to sell a few big things. Didn't sell any of the big things, really. So I ended up selling 3 of the little amigurumi octopi that I make in droves just because they're super quick and they're fun to make. I sold 2 very tiny F-bombs, a super teeny voodoo doll. I also sold Unda, which is the Edwards Imaginarium inspired monster that I made. It had flippers and feet that kind of made it look like a harpy, and it had like twisty bits up on top of its head. And I was surprised to sell that. The lady actually looked at the other 2 like that, and she was having a hard time choosing between them, so I was halfway hoping that she'd take them all home. No, she only took the one, but one was better than none. Hi, Desiree. Hi, Joy. And the other amigurumi thing that I sold was the bonbon print voodoo doll that I made that was a slightly bigger one. It was probably about this big. And beyond that, I sold 2 little face scrubbies that were made with a black cotton that had a silver metallic thread in it. I had them on sale either $3 each or 2 for $5, so the lady got 2 of them. And I sold 4 keychains. I had a little super tiny octopus that was maybe like this big by this big, probably 1 inch by 2 inches. It was really, really small. And I sold 2 of my Happy Blood Drop keychains and 1 zombie keychain. And that is all that I sold. So, yeah. I had a lot of stuff I ended up bringing back home with me that I was hoping I wouldn't have quite so much of, but it happens. You never know how it's going to go, unfortunately. There we go. Thank you. I actually just finished making it, and it is I cannot have both of those in. I feel like I'm in a fishbowl. It is the crossed pear headband, and it is a free pattern on the Crafting for Weeks not videos. She does have a video on there to help you make it, but yeah. and it's a sailor's knot design. And I made it with Muirwoods, which I just recently got with my Hirschner's haul, and this particular colorway is Chipmunk. It's super fast, really easy. Thank you, Joy. So this is why I wanted to make this live, because I knew it wasn't going to take very long, and if I recorded this with my regular camera and then had to edit it, upload it, I would have to spend at least 2 hours working on very short, small amount of information. I did have a lot of people look at the blood drop pillows that I made and the happy pillow cuddler things that are massive, and now I have to figure out how much they weigh and how big they are so I can put them in my shop, and unfortunately have somebody pay an arm and a leg for shipping with them because they're so huge. That's why I was hoping somebody local would buy them. I did not. I didn't even know that Premier had mystery bags right now. I probably would have enjoyed it very much so. Yes, Muirwoods, Wanda. I really, really like it. The more I work with it, the more I am madly in love with it. So soft. Very nice for an acrylic. My only complaint, I will say this much, it's good for working with a biggish hook. I would not want to do something like amigurumi with this because I don't know if I'll be able to get it so that you can see, but it is very loosely plied enough so that it can split pretty easily. It doesn't take much for it to come apart. I find myself constantly going like this and twisting it back together. Oh, $10 for 6 games isn't bad. But with my luck, I'd probably get something that was like a horrible, weird, fuzzy novelty yarn. I don't have very good luck when it comes to mystery bags. I got 2 mystery bags from Hirschner's before, and it was supposed to be a famous makers package. And I ended up with just red heart. Lots and lots of really horrid colored red heart yarn, which I think I finally got rid of from my stash just recently. Oh, late night yarn shopping is a bad idea. Super bad idea. If it sounds really weird and muffled, that's because it's actually in my headphones. I've considered that, Kim. I'm not sure if that's something I'd actually want to do. There is a children's consignment shop nearby that takes knitted and crocheted items if you do them for obviously little people sizes. But last time I was in there, they already had a bunch of crochet stuff, so I don't know if it would be anything that I'd be interested in getting in on or not. Yes, well, what? Don't do late night yarn orders, especially when you realize, oh crap, I have that email from this one place that said if I order by the end of this day, then I have then I have free shipping. Let me see here. Is this any better? A little bit better? Sound-wise? Yay, nay? Do you have headphones on, Kim? because I've noticed that with things where the sound is super, super soft, that headphones make it okay. Ah, I gotcha. Oh, it says my stream quality is decreasing. It's just really weird because I can't hear myself even though I have headphones in, so I have no clue how it sounds to you guys. Apologize if this gets a little ASMR while I'm taking a drink of water here. I'm not trying to be gross, but does anybody have any last minute markets before Christmas coming up? I am glad to finally have my last one I was signed up for done. It was fun to get out of the house for the day, but oh my goodness, what a pain. Just so much work goes into setting everything up. ASMR water sounds, no, that's the worst. Yes, I do plan to dye more yarn. I have 3 bags of bare yarn left. One of them is sport weight, one is regular sock yarn, and one is a sparkle sock yarn. I just haven't had the time to do it with everything else that's been going on. So I'm hoping to get all of those dyed up before the end of the year. That might be a tall order to fill, though. We'll see. Hi, Kathleen. Merry Christmas to you, too. In a few days when it's actually Christmas. I love that everyone says howdy, because even though I'm not from the South, I've always said howdy and feel very strange doing so. Rested up? Oh no, not at all. I've been going to bed around 2 o'clock in the morning pretty much all week. Getting work done. That's how I got 21 bags cut the other day. And I have a lot more of them I need to get sewn up. I'm kind of behind on that. Well, I'm not behind. It's not like I have a deadline, but I have so many holiday fabrics, and I was hoping to get them all sewn up and listed prior to Christmas, and I don't think it's gonna happen. Oh wow, that sounds like a good deal, Alicia. So what is everybody working on? All of you crazy people who are up way late. I don't have any more occulty fabrics right now with it being Christmas. They're kind of hard to find, and I don't want to have to jack the prices of my bags to be able to sell them. Hi, Kayla. Hi, Brittany. Not working on anything? How can you not be working on anything? I was on the phone with my mom earlier, and I was actually finishing this, which I started last night. You may have remembered from a while back, I don't even remember how long ago, but last year sometime I made this portion of a pet bed for my kitty cat. Well, unfortunately, wow. Unfortunately, I used one strand of bulky weight yarn and a kind of biggish hook, so it seemed stiff enough to stand up on its own and, have a little bit of support. unfortunately, after I washed it once, it went completely floppy and soft and became kind of a round blanket rather than a cat bed. So last night I took some of my Bernat blanket yarn and made a second layer and just whip stitched it all together. So now it actually has a little bit of guts to it and can sit up by itself. And Mr. Kitty is super pleased. I'm surprised he's not in here right now. Hello, everybody who just got in. Hi, Dana. Geez, all of my normal people are here. Do you never sleep? I know that that's the case of pot versus kettle, but I've admitted that I just don't sleep. I don't sleep. Just don't. And I burned through not only blanket yarn, I don't think you'll be able to see it, but there's a little bit of extra blue in here. I used some partial leftover balls of Lion Brand Homespun to go with it. So, yeah. I have still yet to make a virus shawl. I don't know if I'm ever going to. Oh, sleep till noon. I wouldn't know what to do with myself if I could sleep that late. Oh, we're out of melatonin here, Dana. It's a bummer. Although apparently eating bananas can help you go to sleep, which is interesting, random fact. Yeah, crafter, parents, also writing. I've been writing at least 1,000 words a day on top of everything else. So when I get done with all of my crafting stuff at around 11, then I'm like, oh, well, now I can get my daily word count in. So if I keep writing at the rate I am now, I'll actually have almost a full rough draft by my birthday, which is February 18th. Melatonin at the Dollar Tree? That's crazy. Oh no, teething lack of sleep is the worst. It's so horrible because there's only so much you can do for them as far as pain management goes, you know. ASMR is nice. I usually just find, I have a few favorites, one of which is actually Gale Force Studios, and he lives in Ireland and has a really thick Irish accent, and it's just fantastic. I'm doing well. How are you? Oh, yeah. My boys, whenever they cut teeth, it's always at least two at a time. You're not super late, Janice. The first 10 minutes or so, once this is finally done and goes back to the replay, is just me talking about the things that sold at the craft fair that I did last Saturday. Not really anything spectacular, nothing groundbreaking. But yes, if you enjoy ASMR, like softly spoken ASMR, I don't like the whispered ones or the weird mouth sound ones. It was just kind of definitely check out Gale Force Studios. Well, thank you. Hello, Shalene. Geez, we've almost got our usual 30 people here, and it's like the middle of the night. I guess it doesn't matter when I stream. There's always going to be about 30 people kicking around going, ooh, what's Randy doing? Totally agree. Mouth sounds are horrible. Not my favorite thing at all. Oh, those teething tabs were a godsend for my kids. ASMR stands for Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response. And there are a certain portion of people who, when you see people making certain motions. If you see some ASMR videos, you'll see people making hand motions like this, or certain sounds like paper rustling, bags rustling, weird like food being cut into. It can really be anything, but people speaking usually in soft tones or whispering can actually give you a weird like tingling sensation that starts kind of in your scalp and kind of radiates down your spine. And it's really relaxing. It sounds like a gross, weird thing, but it's not. It's just a mellow thing. Yes, singing does it too. Kind of, it can be relaxing in the same way that white noise is. A lot of it, most of the ones that you'll see are personal attention or care ASMR, and it'll be like somebody who's talking to you like they're your boyfriend and you just had a really long day and they're like, oh, here, let me get you this snack, let me get you this drink, you're important to me, blah, blah, blah. You know, all of those things that so many of us are lacking in our actual lives and can help us go to sleep. Yeah, Pacific time. It's only 10 here right now. I've got at least another hour of crafting, and then I'm probably going to write for an hour or two. Yeah, I've tried the sound ones with no talking, and it doesn't work for me. Before I really found out what ASMR was, I was mostly just listening to a lot of horror narration channels, which were men reading creepy stories, but reading them in an even tone at a low volume and just deep masculine voice knocked me right out. I was asking for $40 for the chill pills, considering how much time they took and how much yarn they took. And I had people look at them, but I don't think anybody looked at the price tag at all because I had it on the back. They just kind of, I had one girl pick it up and squeeze it, and she was like, it's a happy pill. And I was like, you're the first person who actually got that without me having to tell you what it was. Yes, creepypastas, absolutely. I have about 7 or 8 different horror narrator channels that I listen to because they are just men with different accents and just soothing deep voices. And it's like, my brain doesn't know how to react to this because the story itself is something where you should be like, this is horrifying, what's happening? But their voice itself is so mellow. It's just like, I could be getting hacked to death by a serial killer right now, and I might just take a nap because this is so mellow. It's so weird. I do like white noise stuff. That stuff helps me too. Thank you, Marianne. I thought it was a cute idea, and I guess if nobody else wants it, I will just use it. I'm glad you like the pattern, Tony. I thought it was written fairly easily, but I don't know. I didn't have anybody test the pattern for me, so my shirt doesn't really say anything important over here. It says Cthulhu. This is just Lovecraftian nonsense words, and these are little people, and it's a Cthulhu ugly Christmas sweater. The microphone is actually part of my headset. It is a Bluetooth wireless headset. So if it sounds like I'm talking through a box, I apologize for that. I wanted to test it and see if it was viable or not. Because I know my laptop mic is garbage. I had been listening to a lot of Avenged Sevenfold when I was dyeing that yarn. I think most of the yarns that I did in that particular batch were based on songs I had been listening to. like the glycerin colorway, that's the salmon pink and the periwinkle blue. Yeah, on a sparkle soft base. I think I still have both of those. I don't think anybody has bought it yet. Yeah, I had a few people say that they were having trouble hearing me, so I think when I had my headphones that it was actually covering the mic intake. So, but I also turned up the sound on the intake because when I was talking earlier, the level bar was like, "Wow, you're so loud." I didn't want to blow out anybody's eardrums on accident. I think the next thing that I'm going to do, I have become obsessed with using multiple strands of yarn at once just because knowing that we're going to have to be moving soon, I want to have less yarn to take with me, and I don't really want to just sell my yarn or give my yarn away. I would like to use it to make stuff. So this is a Serenity Chunky Sequins yarn from Premier. It is purple. This is a Red Heart Super Saver Chunky. I want to use the, what is it called? I think it's Brew the Bat amigurumi pattern, which is for making a small bat. And I made some with just plain bulky yarn before, and it was about this big. And I think this one, if I do the same pattern with all the same stitches, will probably come out about yay big, which would be nice because, you know, same quantity of stitches, approximately same amount of time, a little bit more, because keeping two strands of yarn held together is a little more labor intensive, but same amount of work, larger end result. Usually good stuff. That sounds like that's pretty amazing, Dana. Amazing and horrifying at the same time. Yeah, this headset was actually my Christmas present to myself because usually for the past almost 3 years now, I just had a single in-one-ear Bluetooth headset that I would use while I was listening, that I would use to listen to something while I was doing the dishes, because nobody likes to just stand there at the sink with nothing to hear or see, and we have a window facing out, but here in Washington, you know, weather is generally very gray, and this way I can listen to things, and if somebody calls me, all I have to do is tap the button, and I can still talk to them and not have to, like, rip my dishwashing gloves off, and good stuff. Yeah, I noticed that the other day with one of her videos, that there was somebody that was super duper loud. I really liked her hour-long video that she posted. I was like, oh, girl, you're keeping me company while I sew. This is fantastic. Because even if I put autoplay on, usually it will choose to play a video that I wouldn't want to watch in sequence after what I just saw. So I have to stop what I'm doing, come over here and change it. Yeah. Hi, Tina. How are you? Yeah, right? I thought that maybe that was the waitress that was just being super duper loud, and I was like, holy crap, woman, hush your face. I'm doing all right. Had a pretty decent day. I got a few orders in the mail today. Oh, that reminds me, speaking of orders, I put everything that is in the last chance section in my shop on sale again from now until the day after Christmas. So everything in there that's already super cheap is an extra 25% off. There's no minimum order requirement, so if you saw one of my pre-made octopi in there that you wanted, it's now only $7.50 instead of $10 for one. Because the less stuff I had to take with me, the better. And I still don't know when that's going to be happening either, so that's fun. Just up in the air. Everything is up in the air. My Stream health is garbage right now. It keeps going in and out. Thank you, Tina. Yeah, I was hoping to do a lot more video-wise this month, but just with everything that's going on, it's just not gonna happen. When it comes to things that you gotta kind of let go and just kind of move along with it, making extra videos beyond the 1 or 2 a week is usually the first thing that gets cut. I'm not sure yet, Marianne. Oh, yeah, this is a bag full of the Tootsie Roll Fruit Chews. This is what's left of a 5-pound bag. This is my mommy time snack. Yeah. And this is just my Notions pouch. Oh, I know how that is. I've gone by several different aliases over my internet career, I guess, so it's kind of hard to assimilate everything under one name. It happens. I'm not sure where we're going to be moving to. I found several places that are in nearby-ish towns, and after looking and doing some serious hunting, I have found several houses. Houses, mind you, like a freestanding building that is not connected via wall to any other domicile of any other living human peoples, which is fantastic because after having a house, even having nearby neighbors but not sharing a wall, it is super duper exciting to be looking at places where I wouldn't have to be in a stack and pack style apartment. The idea of being back in a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom flat with above neighbors, below neighbors, side neighbors too, no. I found places with multiple bedrooms, multiple bathrooms, and a fenced-in yard. I found 4 of them. They're all in the same price range, and they only cost an extra $100 more a month than a 2-bedroom flat in the nearby urban centers. I don't want to say city because it's not really big enough to be a city. But, yeah. Really hoping for some of those. Hello, Sonia. Also, hello, Anna. Yes, it is in regards to the big D word. And not the fun big D word, but the one that is pretty much the antithesis of all things fun. Yeah, I've had a few people look at the things that I've made, and they're like, "Are you sure you made all of this?" Yep, it was me. Are you sure you made all of this? Yes, really. This is what I do. Just because it's handmade doesn't mean it has to look like my 5-year-old sewed it together with one eye patch covering an eye. It's, yeah. The bed. What bed? Yes. I will say that the only thing that I really don't like about where we live is that nobody talks to anybody. Like, don't get me wrong, I honestly think that I would be horrified if the first day we moved in, I had my 5 nearest neighbors come knock on my door and be like, "Hey, yo, we saw you're moving in. Have some cookies." I'd be like, "Are they full of arsenic?" I haven't had neighbors converse with me. I don't even know the names of the neighbors that have been living next to us for 6 months, but I know that they are the fourth set of neighbors we've had since we moved here. Yeah. Oh, the cat bed. Yes, thank you. Yep, that's a cat bed. He is passed out on my pillow in my bedroom right now. And yes, professionalism is super duper important. The only thing about my bags that I wish I was more consistent about doing is to put tags with my company name on them. But by the time I'm done lining up drawstring casing space and getting the little stitch marker tab in and getting the handle in and making sure it's facing in the proper direction, I'm like, do I want to put a tag in? Do I? No. Eventually that's something I'd like to get more used to putting in things. And amigurumi is rough at first, Dana. It's a whole other skill set. You think, oh, it's just crochet, but there's so much more to it. 3 unfinished quilt tops. That's a lot of quilt tops. I actually have a bag full of fleece strips that I need to sew into, a blanket for probably Hunter, because he is the extra blanket snuggler. And yes, amigurumi is a ton of practice. I've gotten to the point with it now where I'm going to be needing to just use a 3.25 millimeter hook soon, because my 3.5 millimeter stitches are becoming loose because I've been doing it for so long that it's totally relaxed. A penguin and a frog, those sound fun. Oh no, you sewed the hood wrong side out. It's not a mistake, it's a design element. There you go, Wanda. See, you've got the right attitude. Yeah, amigurumi, you shouldn't be intimidated. It's really just, if you have a certain pattern that you've made a ton of times, it can become sort of relaxing, mindless crochet where you don't have to focus on it and count stitches and check your pattern 50 times and count more stitches. It's not like making most shawls or scarves, hats, regular hats. Oh, don't be a big chicken. And yes, design element. Remember that. When you have an oops that deters from the pattern and it's something that is unfixable, it's not a mistake. It's a design element. Oh, look, I altered this pattern, so it's a design element. And people will be like, oh, as opposed to, oh, I'm sorry you're disappointed in it. Good. Even better that it doesn't look too bad. Fantastic. I don't know what I want for Christmas joy. My older son Hunter asked me the other day, he was like, Mommy, what's your biggest Christmas wish? What do you want for Christmas? I was like, I don't know, buddy. I'd kind of just like for us to all have a good day where everybody gets along, nobody's fighting, nobody has to yell at anybody. I would love for us to all just have a good day, because it's going to be our last Christmas being in the same house as Daddy all together. I was like, sometimes you guys will get to go have Christmases with him, but this is going to be our last one all under the same roof. And he kind of did one of these faces, like he was taking it in, and he goes, well, so your Christmas wish isn't to marry somebody else? And I'm like, no, that's pretty much the last thing on my mind right now, is looking for somebody else to get hitched with when I'm not even unhitched yet. No. So I told him, well, marriage is a lot of work, and you and your brother are the two most important people in the world to me right now, and most men would be jealous and wouldn't be okay with the fact that I would not put them before you. And Hunter was like, aw, I love you forever, Mom. And he gave me this big hug, and I was almost in tears. So ridiculous. And then I added to it, maybe when you guys are older, someday, and better able to take care of yourselves, maybe then Mommy can see if there's a man out there who would be worth getting married to again. And his face got all serious, and he goes, I hope he's not a big jerk. And I kind of cackled, and I'm like, well, why? He goes, because you deserve better than a big jerk. I'm like, aw. And then I added, don't worry, because I would not marry someone who is a big jerk, because a marriage is a lot of work, and it would not be worth it to throw away years of said work on somebody who wasn't a perfect specimen, in my opinion, of a man. He's so empathic, and he just picks up on things, and he's such a sweet kid. Horrible. Love him, but oh man, there's no hiding anything from him. I withdrew Hunter from school because he had been having some issues with a few of his classmates being very grabby and squishing his hands and things of that nature. And I went to pick him up from school one afternoon, and he was really upset. He was totally freaking out, screaming and crying like he hadn't stopped in forever. And his teacher was like, once everybody else is gone, I'd like to talk to you for a minute. And I'm like, okay, wondering why he's screaming and crying. And he's hysterical, so he can't tell me what's going on. And once everybody's gone, she comes over and says there was an incident, and Hunter had a classmate stab him in the leg with a pencil. And oh, no. Yeah, no, it wasn't anything serious like that. So Hunter had to go to the nurse, and I have the note from the nurse that is signed that specifically says on it, reason for a visit to the nurse, stabbed in the leg. Well, because it did not rupture skin and rend flesh from bone, everybody's acting like it's not a big deal. And it is very upsetting to me that I wasn't contacted about it occurring. Even if it seemed like it wasn't serious, I feel like somebody should have called me and been like, hey, there was an incident. Would you like to come in and assess and see if you think Hunter is okay to continue the school day, or if you would like to take him home? Yeah. So the fact that they were being very hush-hush about it really bothered me. And of course, they couldn't tell me who it was that did it. But once Hunter had calmed down, he told me, and it was the very same little girl who made a regular habit of completely upending tables and desks in the classroom, and who goes to the principal on a very regular basis. Yeah, so I was upset, and it's something where I feel like I understand them not wanting to disclose the child's name or any information about the other child's parents, but by the same token, if you could just talk to another adult about an issue between your children, the issue might get resolved, which is craziness, as opposed to just letting it continue to escalate and go on and on and on. As someone who was very severely bullied all through school, I can see the warning signs of how it's going to go down, and I don't want him to have to go through that. And he went from every week they would send home a packet on Monday that had 6 or 7 worksheets in it to complete for next Monday to turn in, the end of the week. And it would take at least an hour every night to do one worksheet with screaming and crying, and he didn't want to do it. It was horrible. Everything sucked. Life, the universe, and everything is just catastrophically apocalyptic, and whoa, it was so bad. However, before he started going to school, Hunter would happily sit with, those workbooks that you can get anywhere, Walmart, bookstores, anything like that, where there's tracing and there's letters and there's numbers and there's reading. He loved doing those things, and now all of a sudden he can't manage one of them in the single evening. Very, very strange. But now that he's been out of school for a while, we can do 10 or 12 worksheets I try to get all of our schooling done in the morning, so within a 2-hour time span, we can get all of those done. Also do some reading, do some accessory writing. It's just, and he doesn't complain about it. It's not a problem. So I don't understand what they were doing in their teaching methods that made him so completely reticent and digging in his heels. Oh, I can believe it. I have often wondered if perhaps Hunter is on the spectrum, and every time I mention my concerns to his pediatrician, it's completely shrugged off, because he is capable of expressing emotion and looking someone in the eye when they talk to him. And apparently those two things alone mean that he is 100% in no way, shape, or form at all possible of possessing a sensory processing disorder. I can say that I got lucky and was never bullied by any teachers, but I experienced nothing less than torture from my classmates from first grade through my senior year of high school. And my kids don't need to go through that. There's no reason for it. We have the co-op group that they have a big meeting every other week. They have a huge field trip once a month that they do. We got to actually go to the Christmas party last week, sometime, Friday maybe last week. Yeah, I considered something like that, Kathleen, but it just wasn't worth the fight. I found that with Hunter, you can look up ways to help kids deal with triggers and issues that they generally have, and the ones that work the best for Hunter are ones that specifically say, oh, this is for dealing with an autism meltdown. Because when Hunter gets really worked up, nothing will calm him down. Reasoning doesn't work. The normal, oh, just, take a deep breath, count to 10, whatever. All of those things, nothing helps. Nothing helps. But if you do things like pressure to calm them down, like just hugging them really tightly, things like that, usually works. Finding a way to get him away from excessive amounts of noise. We've been to several holiday parties in the last 2 weeks, and Hunter gets really overloaded with lots of people sounds. So if we're anywhere where there's crowds of people and they're talking, milling about, making lots of noise, he gets really overstimulated and goes from being normal Hunter to hyper agitated, spacey, almost looks like he's in shock, Hunter. And he's a totally different kid. He's just quick to anger. He freaks out and cries at the drop of a hat over nothing. It's really frustrating. But with all of these parties we've been going to, I told him, there's an open door. It's nice and cool outside. It's raining. If it gets too loud and you just need to breathe, just let me know so I don't think you've disappeared. Just walk outside, take a deep breath, and come back in a minute when you feel better. And he did for the entire thing, and he had so much fun. And he got to have a Nerf war with all of the other bigger kids at the co-op meetup last week, so that was fun. See, my biggest problem with dealing with bullies in high school was that I always tried to go the nonviolent route, and I discovered that peer mediation was a joke, and started taking martial arts classes because my uncle was an instructor. And then when I had issues with the same girl who gave me trouble for a long time, it got to the point where we'd done the peer mediation thing. She was actually the daughter of a teacher, so she got away with a lot of things and just generally wasn't a very nice person. And my parents said on the phone, if this girl causes problems with my daughter again, I have given my daughter permission to level her, and it won't be a problem anymore. And they're like, oh, no, can't do that, blah, blah, blah. So I ended up not having to do it. But once I started taking martial arts classes and then had a growth spurt where I was taller than most of my female classmates, nobody wanted to play ball anymore, which was kind of disappointing because I really wanted to punch her right in her stupid face. Yeah, and Hunter kind of shuts down when he gets totally overwhelmed. Killian goes the other way and gets crazy, scary, violent. I mean, to see my little 50-pound child flip our giant oak dining table when he's upset is not my favorite thing. Hi, Enid. Welcome. Crazy that there's so many people here so late. Oh no, I hope they feel better soon. It's the worst when kids are sick. And then when husbands are sick, it's like having 3 sick kids all at once. Personally, I get overloaded with lots of people noise and get really agitated, but I know that that's a problem for me because I'm an adult. So when I get really agitated, I can say, okay, it's too freaking loud. I need to go find somewhere quiet and just chill for a minute so that I can settle myself. My 5-year-old isn't completely capable of that yet. Oh, that's horrible, Supermom. I'm sorry to hear that. We've been super lucky, knock on wood, if there's any actual wood anywhere in this room, knock on wood, we haven't been very sick this season. It's very strange. Good night, Jennifer. Hope you get some sleep. I mean, this time last year, we'd probably been sick 4 or 5 times already. Oh no, that happened with Hunter last week too. Just out of nowhere, he sat up in the middle of the night. I heard him cough super loud, and I'm like 3 doors down from their bedroom here. And I just heard him cough really loud. I waited a minute. I heard him cough again, went to check on him. he has a bunk bed, so like reached up my hand to reach for his hand and stuck my arm in a whole bunch of gross digestive juices. That was super no fun. And then I had to go through the joy of evacuating him from his bed and getting everything cleaned. And of course, because he hasn't had a night wetting the bed accident ever, I didn't have a mattress protector on his bed. So I had to actually get the upholstery cleaner and clean his mattress and set it up to dry and get him all cleaned up. Got him some honey ginger water to drink, and gave him a couple crackers and got him in bed and just read to him until he fell asleep. It was horrible. But the next day he was a little queasy in the morning, but then he was better. So I hope it's something that's done quickly, whatever it is. And yes, I completely agree. Even if it's not something that's diagnosis worthy, everyone reacts to things differently, and you need to find what works for you. I also had an army of stuffed animals that needed to be hand cleaned, which was a joy. I hope she gets some rest and that she feels better in the morning so that you can get some rest. Because everybody knows that mommy is always the last one to get sick, and it's because everybody else has already been sick and you've been taking care of them the whole time. Absolutely not, Dana. That is a good way to look at it. I have a bunch of friends my age who are, in their late 20s, early 30s, and they're like, oh, I never want to have kids. And I'm like, good for you. Don't. If you don't want to have kids, don't have kids, because they are something else. I think I have a cat scratching at the door. Give me just a moment. Hello, Mr. Black. Come on in. Hey, you. Come here, kitty. Kitty, here. Come here. Come here. More come hearing. There we go. Here. And there is Nurgle. And yes, I'm wearing festive holiday pajama pants because they are soft. Completely agree, Kathleen. Yeah, he's super loud. Yeah, that's unfortunate, Dana. But I look at it from the perspective of if everybody were to have multiple children, lots and lots of kids. Like, I know some people my age who have 6+ children. I'm like, you're crazy. How do you function as a human? I only have 2, and there are days where I can't function as a human. See, my boys are like me. They're not really big peepers, but unfortunately, when they do, it's super, super bad. I've actually considered that, Wanda, because at night when I go to sleep, he's right there with me. He's always in bed, like curled up right on my ear, purring. Dude, what are you doing? You're pacing and it's driving me crazy. What are you doing? Come here. Come up here. Up here. You're here. There you go. Kids were never really on my agenda, honestly. It just wasn't part of my 5-year plan, so to speak. Now I've got 2 kids, so I'm like, well, whatever, make the best of it. But I always said that if I didn't have any kids by the time I was 30, that I would either foster or adopt. And I was planning on eventually fostering kids once the boys were older, because I know some people who grew up in the foster system, and it's unfortunately not always a good situation. And I would love to make sure that a few more kids could have a safe and healthy place and learn that they are of value, that they as people have value. But then I also worry that if I were to foster kids, that I'd end up just adopting them all. Yeah. I'm 32 and I don't want to have any more babies. I don't. Pregnancy was atrocious for me. Like, labor, everybody talks about labor being the worst part. Labor is the end game of pregnancy. You know that within a certain amount of time, whether they have to take you to surgery or you push it out, there will be a baby in your arms, and it is done. That is the end. It's over. Now, being pregnant, however, you've got 9 months of misery and nausea, but not necessarily vomiting, excessive tiredness, bouts of mania. My hips liked to dislocate when I would be walking when I was pregnant with the boys. Oh, that's a bummer, Dana. This headband pattern is the crossed pear headband, and it is a free pattern. Let me look again at the name. Oh my God, Kat, I love you. You are so aggressive with your affection. It is a free pattern on the Crafting for Weeks blog. Dude, easy. Chill out. Yeah, pregnancy was horrible. And then, you know, as somebody who's always had regular depression, having crippling postpartum depression twice that almost took me out of life. Yeah, no, I don't think I could survive another one, and I don't really want to chance it. So, if I do end up marrying another man someday, he's going to have to understand that I am not having more babies, and maybe I'll get lucky and find a guy who's a single dad. Yep, Crafting for Weeks. Here, let me see if I can put the actual link for it right in the chat. That way nobody has to hunt for it. Let's see if that'll work. Ow, dude, I love you. Please stop perforating my leg with your claws. Ugh. Yeah. Yeah, the NICU is scary, Anna. Hunter was only in the NICU for a few days, but it was to go through everything that is pregnancy, and you know, you have this idea of a completely natural birth, and then Hunter was born, and then they're like, oh, well, we're going to keep him here in the hospital for 5 days, and we don't have anywhere for you to stay. So I had to go home for multiple days without my newborn baby. So that pretty much threw any chances I had at breastfeeding out the window, and that was just catastrophic. I'm sorry for your loss, Supermom. but I look at it from the perspective of there are so many kids out there that need a good home, even if it's only for a few years until they become full adults that can take care of themselves. I would be totally cool with fostering or adopting. Although now, unless I am married again someday in the future, that's not really a thing. You're welcome, Kathleen. What are you doing? Yeah, I was so stressed out that nursing didn't really work for me. I ended up doing it for 6 months with Hunter, even though I also had to formula feed him, and Killian for 9 months, I think. But I never really produced that much milk, and I don't know if it's because I had 2 kids who were almost 10 pounds when they were born, that my body, me being me and not very much there, it didn't work, and I had to accept it. Not really much I could do about it. But just recently I saw a really interesting article about a study done in the UK that mothers of boys, and especially multiple boys, are 70% more likely to experience postpartum depression. Which is funny because just recently I've been saying to my mom, I really feel like from everybody I've talked to who has recently had kids, not saying that moms of daughters don't get postpartum depression, but severe, I don't want to live anymore, postpartum depression seems to be more prevalent in moms of boys. And is that because of the extra testosterone in your system? There are a whole bunch of different things that could lead to it. I'm a science nerd, so I feel like I missed my true calling in life, getting into a lab somewhere, getting to study stuff like this for funsies. But yeah, it's something that I've really wondered about a lot recently. I really didn't like breastfeeding, but I think the biggest part of it for me was, and this is going to sound so stupid, but if you've been through pregnancy and you know how your brain is recently after giving birth, and it is just a roller coaster of psychosis and hormonal up and downs, my biggest issue was that I felt like I failed biologically at being a mother, because anyone can breastfeed, right? That's the big thing that they push at you all the time, is anyone can nurse a baby. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't, blah, 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 which is a really awesome sentiment. However, not every single person is physically capable of breastfeeding without supplementation. They just aren't. Some people's bodies are not equipped with proper milk ducts to make enough to feed a 10-pound baby at birth. And it really bothered me. I felt like from the get-go, like I shouldn't be a mom. This is nature telling me, how dare you have a baby? If you were a normal mammal and didn't have this artificial milk to give your kid, you wouldn't have a baby anymore, because they would starve to death. And that just kept running through my head over and over and over. And you've had depression, you get that awesome loop of audio that's telling you horrible things. I did that. I had several lactation consultants that I talked with, and both of the boys had severe tongue ties. Killian's was so bad that I was like scabbed over for the first week, and that was horrendous. But I was like, oh, this is just part of it. I got to tough through it. I got to do it. I have to do it, especially because I couldn't with Hunter. I felt like I had to try even harder with Killian, but the stress of trying was like, no. I finally came to accept it when I thought about the fact that I was completely formula fed. My mom, so far as I know from talking to her, didn't even attempt to breastfeed me because at the time it was not the norm. It was the mid 80s when, formula was all the rage. I was a tiny baby. I was tall. I was 21 inches tall, but I was only 6.5 pounds. So I was a very tall and slender baby, and I was completely formula fed. I don't have asthma. I don't have allergies. I don't have any of these things that people tell you, oh, if you formula feed your kids, they're going to have all of these problems and yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. Not necessarily. Both of my boys are completely healthy. They were partially breastfed, partly formula fed, and they're giant kids. Nobody has asthma. Nobody has allergies, at least not to anything they've been exposed to in life so far. So, yeah. I do think that big babies have big babies because Adam, who was actually born several weeks late, was almost 11 pounds when he was born. Yeah. Raw milk can actually be really good for you. I'm not going to go total woo-woo, but I feel like a lot of the sterilization of many things in our food is part of the reason people get sick so often, because if we're never exposed to things in small doses, then how is our body going to develop defenses against them? Not just via injection. Yeah, my boys were both 9.5 pounds. Yeah, there was just everything about being pregnant and breastfeeding. I was just so angry about all of it and sad. People would be like, oh, you're pregnant. Shouldn't you be glowing? It's like, why would I be glowing? I'm miserable. I hurt everywhere. I have to pee every 20 minutes. And if I consider sneezing, I have to think about if I've gone pee recently so I don't pee when I sneeze. Yeah, it wasn't good, and I don't want to do it again. I'm 5'8". My dad is 6 feet tall, and my mom's 5 feet even. It should be illegal to give birth to a kid that big, but yeah, they don't let you do that now. As far as I know, they won't let you go more than maybe a week past your due date before they induce you. But they don't take into consideration that your estimated due date could be off by up to 3 weeks. Ugh. Lots and lots of big babies. It's good to know I'm not alone. Because people see the boys and they're like, oh, how old are they? And I'm like, oh, well, Killian just turned 4. Hunter will be 6 in about a month now. And they're like, what? When Hunter was in school, there were kids who were in 2nd grade who were the same size as Killian. I have giant children. I was worried with Killian that they were going to try and make me have a cesarean. 3 weeks early, aw. Wow, you ladies are super tall. Oh wow, 6'5". Yeah, yeah. Hi, Wanda. Yeah, labor I didn't mind. It was, you know, with Killian especially because I got to walk around, I got to shower, I got to eat, I got to drink. It was over so much quicker than Hunter's. I was in labor for 12 hours with Hunter, and Killian, once we got to the hospital, he was born within, I think, 3 hours. Isn't it great when they come out and they just know what's up? I'm worried that my kids are going to be well over 6 feet tall because we have men on both sides of the family that are 6'3" to 6'5". Aw, second grade. That's craziness, Dana. How tall are you? I think I had my last growth spurt when I was about 13 because for some reason, as soon as I turned 10, my body packed on 50 pounds of weight for absolutely no reason. I wasn't any less active. I wasn't eating any worse. It was just like, surprise, you're going to get taller eventually. Here's 50 pounds to make your teenage years horrible. Because, kids are rotten. But yeah, the summer before I turned 13, I decided I was going to go on a crash diet and eat the teeniest, most minimal amount of calories my body needed to function and not shut down organs, and worked out like a fiend, lost 20 pounds, and then before my 13th birthday, I grew like 3 inches height-wise, so I went from being average-ish height and a little bit chubby to super tall and skinny out of nowhere, and it was awful. I'm sorry to hear that, Kathleen. Eviction is a good way to look at it. I was ready. Killian was 3 days past his due date, and with how big Hunter was, and Hunter was born right on his due date, I knew that this kid was going to be almost too big for me to give birth to naturally if he didn't hurry up and get out of there. Aw, Kathleen. I got taller, I just stayed flat. I just stayed flat. I mean, since I've lost weight again now, I'm barely a B at this point. Barely. It's ridiculous. Like, I am an adult. This is ridiculous. No. Oh, yeah. The boys will do that too. That's usually my cue that they're going to be growing because they're grazers and they're pretty picky eaters. There are certain foods that they'll eat the heck out of, but you try to offer them anything new and they're like, no, clearly this is poison because I don't recognize this food. But then they'll have an entire meal and half an hour later they're like, hey mom, can I have a snack? Dude, you cleared your plate. Are you really hungry? Yes. Snack, please. And then they go to bed early and sleep all night. That's how I know. And if it's not a growth spurt, it's teething. And yes, that is something that I am very excited about because I remember when I was sort of able to nurse the kids, and I was slightly larger because, you know, fluid will do that. Running up the stairs at one point and not wearing a bra, just the weight and gravity. I was like, oh my God, how do some women deal with this all the time? Being younger and, you know, getting picked on for not being large, it always bothered me. I was always like, I wish I had bigger boobs. I wish I did. And then when they were bigger, after having my boys, I was like, yeah, no. As soon as I'm cleared for exercising, these things are going. Because that's usually the first thing that shrinks when I start losing weight. This and my butt. And then everything else takes more time. 5'8". There is nothing wrong with being an Amazon. I dated a guy who was 2 inches shorter than me, and I probably outweighed him by 30 pounds, and he always called me an Amazon. And I was like, oh well, Amazons are powerful warriors. Sucks to be you, short, skinny dude. And yes, I know the pain of middle section still sagging quite well. I will say, though, that I haven't weighed myself in a while, but I have gone from a size 13 pant to now being able to comfortably wear an 11. So I'm not sure how many pounds-ish equates to dropping a pant size, but yeah. I'm excited. And I'm trying not to look at the scale, because if I do, then I start obsessively weighing myself, and your weight fluctuates so much throughout the day that it's just not worth it. So I'm not going to do that to myself and sabotage the progress I have made so far. Ah, stretch marks. I knew I was going to have really bad stretch marks because just from gaining and losing weight when I was a teenager, I still have stretch marks on my arms from it. So I knew it was going to be bad. And I feel like my stomach kind of looks like Deadpool's face. Pretty bad. Even though the skin is finally starting to tone up, the stretch marks are definitely still going to be there. Oh, wow, Kathleen, that's crazy. Yeah, I've tried just about anything that you can put on your skin, and the stretch marks aren't dark purple anymore. They're just kind of white and look like a scar, which is what they are. So it's just part of my skin. I had 2 giant children. I mean, I gained 60 pounds when I was pregnant with Hunter, and it was all right here in the middle. And some of it in my face, which was awful. But I went from being 140 pounds to being 211 pounds on delivery day for Hunter. Yeah. Yeah, maybe some coffee or tea would be a good thing to add to that. Maybe if you've got like a local coffee bean company, that might be something cool. Like, oh, look at this neato local coffee. That's a big drop. But I'll bet you feel a lot better too. I know that that's the biggest thing for me. I have so many people say, oh, but you're relatively slender already. And it's like, well, it's not really only looks I'm concerned about. I know that my body hurts when I have more weight. My hips hurt, my knees hurt, my back hurts, my shoulders ache more. if I am able to lose weight and it makes me feel better, that's really what matters more to me than anything. And it's helped reduce my extreme depressive episodes immensely. Yeah, I know all about dysmorphia. It's the worst. But that's because, my body has been all sizes. I went from being 150 pounds when I was only 5'2" to all of a sudden I was 130 pounds and 5'7", and then I was 180 pounds at 5'8", and then I dropped back down to 126. And then after being 126, I started gradually gaining a little bit of weight, and then I met Adam, and then I got pregnant, and then I weighed over 200 pounds, which was the heaviest I've ever been. Yeah, poverty will do it. Before I met Adam, even though I had roommates, I had about $60 a month for groceries for me and 2 cats. Yeah, $60 for a whole month for groceries for a grown person and 2 cats. Yeah, because I was too proud to ask my parents for help. If they had known that I was struggling that hard to have money to eat, they would have fed me and given me money for groceries. But I was like, no, I'm an adult. I got this. I miss being able to go to the gym. Maybe someday. Someday again. Eventually. Ooh, apples. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, I ate a lot of rice. Rice, chicken, because it was cheap. That's very true, Kathleen. Like Jane from Scraptastic Yarns always says, choose to be kind. You can be anything. Choose to be kind. Yeah, it's nice being able to come on here and talk to people, even if I'm just kind of jabbering about everything and nothing all at once. Because I have found that I have issues connecting with adult human beings in person. I don't know if it's just because I'm a weirdo, if it's my insecurities from being bullied in school, but I don't do well with people. Are you sure you can't reach in here and steal my candy? Where did I even put it? Oh, I put it there. Yeah, I have to hide this bag every night. I have to put it in a different closet location because if I make the mistake of leaving it out on my desk, Killian will find it and he will come to me and his little cheeks will be, I'll ask him, what are you eating? And he'll go, fruit chews. Kids. Yeah. That's horrible. I know a lot of people who went through that. And that's something that really bothers me now as someone who has been multiple sizes. I mean, technically right now I'm still considered plus size, which I don't feel like I'm plus size, but that's what the stores tell me. And it bothers me that rather than plus size people saying, don't talk crap about somebody based on their weight, whether it's a high weight or a low weight, just don't be that way to people. They feel like because they have been abused and talked down to because they are heavier that it is okay to be miserable and mean to slender people. Do you know that some skinny people can eat and eat and eat all day and not gain weight? I know because I married one of those people. It happens. He was skinny shamed all the time when he was a kid, and it has caused him a lot of distress despite him not admitting to it. Two T pants. Oh my goodness. Yeah, my boys right now are so huge that they're both wearing size 5 or 6 pants. Yeah, being sort of between a size 11 and a size 12, that's borderline plus size. But then I see all these things that are like, oh, this clothing company is for plus size women and they're size 14 and up, and there's some cute ass clothes. And I'm like, man, I almost wish I was a little bit bigger so I could wear those clothes because I'm so tall that I have issues finding things that fit me properly. And I don't like high waisted pants. Anything that goes above my belly button, it's super ultra. No, thank you. So uncomfortable. So I still shop in the junior section for my jeans because you can get low rise jeans that fit on your hips and don't squash your diaphragm and push it up into your lungs. I'm glad you got a picture of them, Enid. I actually chose Killian's name because I have always been a fan of Celtic names that start with K. The one that I've always been most drawn to is Kieran. Unfortunately, Kieran means little dark one, and I knew with my husband's coloration and mine that I was going to have a blonde-haired, blue-eyed baby the second go around again, so it seemed silly to call him Little Dark One. So I went for another K name, and I believe that in Gaelic, Killian means little fierce one or little brave one. I'm not sure which one exactly off the top of my head, but one of the two for sure. I don't have a special way to do the tassels really. If you look up any make a tassel video on YouTube, it works. I just took a book that was about probably 5 inches by 6 inches and just wrapped the yarn until I felt it was thick enough, stuffed the yarn through the top to tie it all together, and then bound one around it to make it look like a tassel's supposed to, I guess. Cat ear beanies is cute. Those are cool names. I really like those names. Yeah, it's weird though, because after naming Killian, now we frequently see girls around his age whose names are Killian. Oh, I know that feeling, Enid. No. Fiona's a pretty name. I found that I find clothes that fit me better when I just buy them online, and it doesn't give me the catastrophic sensation of failure and discouragement and shame that I get if I go in a store and think, oh, I should be this size. And then you go try something on, and it's just, yeah, no. And it just gets worse. The more things you try on, you're like, oh, I'll find something eventually. No. So because of my shape, because I am quite square-shouldered and long-torsoed, I usually just buy medium men's shirts. They fit me. The sleeves are long enough. This pullover hoodie is actually a men's medium. And on top of that, men's shirts are generally cheaper than women's, even though they have more fabric in them. Elise is a pretty middle name. I have a friend whose first name is Elise. Yeah, anything clingy is not good. Mr. Kitty, do you need to exit? Yeah, alright. Let the cat out. Here, bub. Go on, go on. Go, 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 go. Go on, shoo. Oh, thank you, Tony. I didn't even like clean fabrics when I was a skinny 20-year-old, honestly. Oh. Well, it is starting to get late here, so I think I will give it another 5 minutes, and then I will wrap up this stream that is immensely longer than I was planning for it to be, as it usually is. But it is nice to have some interaction with other adult people who are largely like-minded. I think that's the issue I have with meeting people in person. You look at somebody and you can't tell if they enjoy any of the same things you do just by looking at them. Unless they're wearing like a band t-shirt that's got your favorite band on it or something. Then you've got a starting point. It is 11:30 p.m. and my boys are generally up about 6:30-ish, so I usually try to get to bed around 1 or 2. Thank you, Dana. Gross lumpy bits. Gross is like beauty. It's in the eye of the beholder. Thank you, Kathleen. Yeah, I know it's crazy late over there. My family's in New York. Well, I hope you can get a little bit of rest in between It's probably better if you just get a nap in while you can, even if you do have to wake back up to take care of her again. Yeah, being comfortable being yourself doesn't always mean that anyone's going to like you that way, though. And I do love the idea of if you love yourself, other people will too. But for those of us who have always severely and deeply hated ourselves, that's a hard thing to sit with. I'm glad we could keep you company, Wanda. You guys kept me company too. And now I know there's going to be a whole bunch of people with pictures of these popping up on Instagram. I actually really like this headband. I was surprised that it fit the way that it does. Yeah. Yay, almost done with the penguin. I completely agree, Kathleen. Yeah. Awesome. I will probably still be up, so I will likely see it. But I have got some writing to get done. And yes, loom knitting is super slow to start with. I'm not a pro knitter, but I can regular knit way faster than I can loom knit. No lie. So I wanted to say thank you to everybody for tuning in and chatting with each other and chatting with me, even though I know it's crazy late. I hope that everybody gets some rest and everybody who's sick or has somebody sick in their house feels better soon, because being sick is garbage, especially this time of year. It's so stressful anyway. Yeah, no. Oh, I definitely will, Wanda. I've got a big scene planned out. So I hope you all have an awesome night or morning if it is that part of the world where you are. And if anybody catches the tail end of this before seeing the beginning, about the first 10 minutes of actual talk about the craft market, and then the rest of it is all just chatter. So thank you again so much, everybody, for hanging out, and I will talk to you guys all in another video very soon. Bye, guys.